Hey guys, my name is Fazal and welcome to another video. So today I'm gonna work on an interesting topic that's control access from unmanaged devices by using conditional access policy. Specifically, this feature is called app enforce restriction in conditional access policy. So I was a bit confused when I was configuring the application enforce restrictions, specifically for SharePoint and Exchange Online. Um, so I thought let's make a video on this. All right, so this is a feature I was talking about here. It's available under session. Yeah, it's available under session here, and it's called use app enforce restriction. So what this feature does so it's actually offer the limited set of controls. For example, like if your users are logging in and are accessing your company resources from an unmanaged device. For example, if the user is traveling and user is at the Starbucks borrowing somebody's computer or logging in from a device which is not compliant device, uh, the user will have a limited set of actions available. For example, user won't be able to download the attachment, or user won't be able to print the attachment, things like that. So, how do you identify if it's compliant or not? You have to have the MDM solution in place. It could be either Intune or any other MDM that could send a report to Azure AD, because essentially the conditional access policy is an Azure AD feature. To the Azure AD that whether the device is compliant or not. So today what we're gonna do, I'm gonna keep this video short and we'll straight to the point that we're gonna hop on the testing after configuring the policies itself. So we're gonna test three scenarios: the managed device, which basically two scenarios: the managed versus unmanaged device. In managed devices, we're gonna test with the hybrid Azure AD joint and Azure AD joint. Both of the devices are managed, and then we're gonna log in from the unmanaged device that is not enrolled in Intune at all. That means the device is unmanaged and not owned by the company. So let's get it started. So let's read a little bit what this feature is and what this offers. So the use app enforce restriction, this controls only works with supported apps. Currently Office 365, Exchange Online, SharePoint Online are the only cloud apps that are supported. App enforce restriction, click here to learn more. So when I click on this, application enforce restriction, organization can use this control to require Azure AD to pass device information to the selected cloud apps. Okay. So the device information allows cloud apps to know if connection is from the compliant or domain joined device. That's important. Compliant or domain joined device. So if the connection is coming from the compliant and domain joined device, the user will have a normal experience. User will have a full control, and user will be accessing the company resources, including attachment, print, whatever is available. Okay, this control only supports Office 365, SharePoint Online, and Exchange Online as selected cloud apps. Okay, so if you select the cloud apps, you make sure one of these three apps are selected. When selected, the cloud apps uses the device information to provide user with a limited or full experience. So the cloud app will use the device information, and from where it will receive a device information, the source of input would be Azure Active Directory. Okay. All right. Limited when the device is not managed or compliant, and full when the device is managed or compliant. So basically, it's managed and compliant versus unmanaged and not compliant. So there are two set of information or the configuration you have to make it. You have to make it work. You have to do to make it work. Since it's clearly mentioned, it's available for Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and O365 apps. So in the back end, you have to make sure you configure the SharePoint Online and Exchange Online before you even configure the conditional access policy. So let's just start with that. So Let's open up the article here, Exchange Online. Okay, here in Exchange Online, you make sure that you're connected to the Exchange Online remote PowerShell. So let me connect my PowerShell to Exchange Online remote. All right, first of all, you make sure you have the module available. So, and let me see if I have the module. Actually, let's see. Yes, so I have the module available. If you don't have the module available, you can check the list of module in your environment. If it's not available, in case that you have to run through these commands, install module Exchange Online. Alright, so what I did here is I did the get module list available Exchange. So I have the Exchange Online module available here. If you don't install the module and import the module. So let me connect. I'm connecting with my global admin credentials here. Okay, so I am connected. Okay, so I am connected here. Let me check. Alright, so initially what I had and what I changed, so I'm gonna show you here. So if you do like get -OAuth mailbox policy, so I'll tell you what parameters are important for you to check. The one is identity. Okay, so I'll copy this parameter here. Okay, and the other one is conditional access policy. So if you go in here, let me see. So my conditional access policy was initially set up to none. Okay, if you haven't configured in your org, it must have been set up to none, and the rest of the feature will be blank. To none or blank. So this is what you must see if you haven't enabled this policy. So the next thing is to set the policy. So if you look at the article here, set OAuth mailbox policy identity default. So whatever the name of your identity is, you make sure you set it properly, and the conditional access policy switch should be read only. So let's do the same thing here. So I have this command here. Let me just paste here so you see. So set OAuth mailbox policy identity default will not work because my identity name is different. This is my identity name. I'll update my command here. Okay, perfect. So I enable the set OAuth mailbox policy identity OAuth mailbox default conditional access policy read only. Good. So that's it from the Exchange Online side, and from the SharePoint side. Let's get back to the article. Okay. So SharePoint side is, you don't have to do it through the PowerShell, but SharePoint does offer two options, either completely block or limited access. I'm gonna go with the limited access in my lab. So let's see where you can find. So the easiest way to get to that place is to go to portal.office.com, sorry, not Azure, portal.office.com, admin, show all, SharePoint Admin Center, and under the policies, if you expand the policy, you make sure you have the appropriate right. I'm logged in as a global admin. So when you click on access control, under the unmanaged devices, there are three options. Initially it wasn't set to anything, but I just enabled this option, and initially it was set to actually allow. So now I set it to allow limited and web only access. So when you hit allow, I'm not going to go with the most restrictive, that's the block access. I'm going to go with the medium one, which is allow limited web only access. When you hit allow limited web only access and hit save, it will automatically create two conditional access policies immediately after you enable this feature. So when you go in here, conditional access policy, it will give you the date and the time and something like this. So SharePoint Admin Center under the square brackets, and it will give you the date and time. So please keep in mind, we still haven't enabled the conditional access policy, but just going through the prerequisites process so far. So when you enable the feature on the SharePoint, the first policy, it says it's called block access from app on unmanaged devices. So the only caveat here is it's by default is selected to all users. So if you are concerned you have a pilot rollout or you don't want to enable to the entire org, you make sure that you select a group here and exclude yourself from that policy in case you don't want to experience that, okay, as an admin. Because by default when you enable this, it's enabled to all users. But the good thing is only enabled to the SharePoint online applications. It's not going to lock down the entire organization. And under the condition, when you look at the client apps, it's only targeting to mobile apps and the desktop clients for this particular policy, because there are two of them. The next one would be the browser one. And under the grant access, it says I require device to be marked as compliant or require device to be hybrid. I'll show you each one. Nothing under session, we haven't done anything because it's a system generated policy. So let's get back to the other policy, which is, if you look at the subject of the policy, called use app info restriction for browser access. Pretty much the same settings, allowing users, so same formula. If you're not comfortable to all users, make sure you have the pilot group set up here, and only applicable to the, only targeting to the SharePoint online application here. Under condition client apps, it's targeting to the browser because it says the restriction for browser. And under grant control, nothing, and grant access, and under the session, it says the use app enforce restrictions. So that's for the SharePoint online. But for so at this point, for SharePoint to take care, SharePoint to be configured by conditional access policy, you don't require any additional action item. But since we already we discussed the Exchange Online as well, so I created a policy that's actually targeting to the entire Office 365. So if I show you that policy here, it's called use app enforce restriction for unmanaged devices. So that's turned on. So if I show you, this is the policy I've created. So just to recap before I get into the conditional access policy. So recap is, this is the article, and you can get this article from under the session control, an exclamation mark. When you click on this, it will take you to that article. And the article has two main areas to configure: SharePoint Online and the Exchange Online. And you configure one by one each. When you enable SharePoint, it will automatically enable two policies targeting to all users. So you have to revisit and change the scope of the users from all users to the pilot group. If you're comfortable leaving all users, that's fine. Okay, so the next thing is to create the actual conditional access policy. So how to do the actual conditional access policies to take care for Exchange Online, SharePoint, and everything. When I say everything, only two apps, Exchange Online and SharePoint Online. So in my case, I'm targeting to my pilot group, which is CA group, and it has a user called user demo 54. Generally, I do demo it, and I'm targeting to the entire O365 app suite. Okay, and under the condition, what I'm doing here is I'm excluding the devices. Those are the mobile devices. I'm only targeting these policies to the Windows device because the concept of hybrid and Azure AD join is only applicable to Windows platform. I can exclude the Linux as well, not a problem. I can exclude even the Windows Phone. Okay, that's fine. And I'm gonna only leave it on for the Windows platform. Okay. And under the grant control, nothing really needed here. Required device, blah, blah, blah. And user session control is super important. So now you see that this option is not grayed out anymore. Just because we included the application in under the cloud apps or the actions here. So if you don't include the application, that option will grayed out because that's just interconnected or dependent on that application. So check this box, use app enforce restriction and hit select. And hit save. Alright, it's time to test now. So I am targeting these policies to the CA user and the SharePoint policies to all user, but let's forget about the SharePoint policy. Just consider this is the final product. That's the policy for us. Okay, and that's the final policy for the entire O365 apps. So let's test it out. So I have the demo user 54. That's a part of the CA group, which is assigned to this policy under the scoping section. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up one of my Azure AD join device first, which is, let's say, let's pick up this one, 01. Alright, so my device is logged in. So just to show you what this device is, CMT. Host name is 729, ending with 8706. And if I show you here, this device is Azure AD join device here. Okay, and the host name is BL7294. So let's real quick go to the Intune to make sure this device is compliant. If it's not, then it's not gonna work. BL hyphen, I think that's 170, yes. Let me double check. 729 ending with 706. 729 ending with 706. So indeed this device is compliant here. If you go and do this, so it's a co-managed device, compliant device. Does not have to be a co-managed for this specific testing. But since I'm actually deploying config manage into all of my devices, that's why they're reporting as co-managed. So let's test this device first. Azure AD join. So let me go to outlook.office.com. Okay, so I'm outlook.office.com. I don't have any limitation, any restrictions. I'm just a normal user because I'm logging in from the compliant device considered as a company asset. I can download this attachment, and when I go to the print, I can print and it's going to show me the attached attachment as well. Here 196 bytes is attached, blah blah. I can hit print. So no issues and no restrictions at all because I am logging in from the compliant device. Another use case from the compliant device or the managed device is the hybrid Azure AD join use case. So let's pick up one of the hybrid Azure AD join device here. This device is also logged in as a user 54. Demo user 54. So if I show you here, it says Azure AD join yes and domain join yes. That means it's a hybrid. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you one thing. I only showed you the Outlook, but let's get back to the previous device, which was Azure AD join, and let's log into SharePoint as well. So SharePoint, and I have a demo site here that has the documents. So when I go to the documents, so I can just simply download the document. I can do anything I want. So I don't have any restriction in SharePoint either. Let's get back to the hybrid Azure AD join device, which is HAAJ. However, let's perform the same testing on hybrid Azure AD join. Let me bring up the browser here. Let's start with outlook.office.com. Okay, so I don't have any limitations, any restrictions here. I can download here, I can print. I have pretty much all the options available like a normal user because I'm logging from the company assets, that's hybrid Azure AD join. Similarly for the SharePoint, let's take a quick look here. Download documents. So I can download it. I have a lot of options available, just a regular user. Cool. So we did the managed device testing. Now let's go for the unmanaged device. So I have a device that is unmanaged, that's not enrolled in Microsoft Intune or anything. Let's take a look. Let's start with my base machine, which is not my lab, which is not a part of my lab. Let me take you over there. So that's my base machine here. That's not joined to any MDM. In fact, not my lab MDM. So let me open up the browser here and log into my demo user. So for example, if I go to outlook.office.com, demo 54 Azure Lab PCNDEMY.com. Okay, so the first thing what I see here is your organization does not allow you to download or print attachment from this device browser. You can still view attachment in your browser. For more information, contact IT administrator. That's good. Because I am logging in to my company asset from the device that's not owned or managed by my company. That's, in other words, called the unmanaged device. And this is the purpose of the conditional access policy. All of a sudden, conditional access policy kicked in because this device wasn't reporting to the Azure AD. So if you look at here, I don't have option to download. I can't do anything. I don't have much available here. I can view emails, pretty much the read-only print. And in fact, when I click on the print here, it's not letting me do anything. It's not attached properly. And it wouldn't show me the attachment here. So that's for the Outlook piece. And for the SharePoint piece, let's go to the SharePoint demo site, document. And indeed, I don't have a download option available, and I have a much shorter list available than I used to have in managed devices. So that's the beauty of conditional access policy. That's the power of conditional access policy. If you wanted to control your data breach or data access from the unmanaged devices, so this is the best option to explore. I hope this video is helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.